What's up, y'all? Welcome back to another podcast on Life with Coffee. It's been a while. Got my banner going. Got the Preem in the house.
How's it going?
Ralph the Barber. Been a while since we've been connected, but we thought it'd be time for another podcast. And it's been a while since I've been on a podcast. I know I haven't put out no content in a while, guys, but I've been talking to Ralph the Barber about having this creative block. So pray for me out. Nah, but so we're here today, so that's the main thing. What you been up to today on a Friday night, or what's your weekend look like?
Lately they've been pretty chill. Well, not even recently. They've been pretty chill. Just go home, relax, game, watch a movie, maybe find something to do to go out. But I'm not too much trying to go out there anymore.
Yeah, I haven't been feeling like the nightlife.
Yeah.
Either, dude. It's just okay. I'm lying. I've been feeling like I've been trying this new bar, and it's like a dance saloon.
Okay.
And I like that.
Yeah.
I like that because it's like live bands, and I like the fact that we get to learn how to dance
Sure.
rather than just drinking, like just watching people. You know what I mean?
Get you something to do.
Yeah. I like that part.
Yeah.
But I'm kind of over the whole like let's bar hop or being at a bar and just like getting faded. Like I don't know, bro. Like it's I don't know.
I still want to do it.
I saw you. No, dude. I just been I really been. I don't know if I can say maturing. Sometimes it feels that way.
In that sense, maybe.
In that sense,
it's
yeah,
just
maybe
like,
in that sense.
I would
see
see that.
And I understand where I'll have friends and I'll tell them like, hey, we should go out, whatever. And these friends will say, no, I'm already over that. And when I was in church, when I was like Sunday nights in church, Friday nights in church, these friends were out drinking and partying and getting wasted,
exploring. Yeah.
So, and that was in their younger years, like early 20s. And now I'm barely doing this in my late 30s. No, whoa. Early 30s. I'm barely doing this in my early 30s. So, it's a new experience for me. My life has been a little bit backwards or twisted, or I haven't got to experience a lot of the things that people have experienced.
Yeah.
Because I was in that whole church scene life.
Yeah.
And obviously you were there with me, but
yeah, no, yeah, and I would say, I mean, not that I'm advocating to go ahead and do that, but it's just like when you're isolated into something for so long, it kind of just like much more like, I guess, antagonizes you wanting to try different things, go into that experience and go do X, Y, Z. So like for me, growing up in the religious aspects, like a straying from that and being what's the word? Being abstinent of that, going out, going partying. Okay. It did a justice in the sense of like I matured before I even got to do those things, so that if I'm doing them with a full conscience instead of being young and dumb.
That's true though.
Yeah,
I like that, bro. Because
I appreciate that I was given the guidance of that.
Yeah.
And afterwards, I was able to make my own choices based on those belief systems that I've had before.
I can definitely get behind that because same, like I feel like I did also my whole early 20s to early 30s or into my 30 age. I've been just family man, taking care of my kids, taking care of my family, and really, I just never had the chance to go out. Or no, I'm not gonna say that. I did have the chance. I just never took it. I always felt bad. Like, the wife was at home, the kids were at home. Like, why should they be at home while I'm out here like partying or whatever?
Yeah, the dad guilt.
I always had that guilt. So, even as small as like when my work, any job I worked at, they would have like a luncheon. I would steal food. Like it was just supposed to be for the employees, but I would take some food extra for the whole family. And I have 4 kids, and I would have to like pack it up, dude. And I would have to like go when people weren't in the break room. But so it's like that type of mentality that it was always them first. And not that it's not now. It's just that now my kids are older. It's a little bit easier to find a babysitter that can take care of kids that take care of themselves.
Yeah.
And and you're right to the aspect where I'm more mature. So when I'm out there, I'm not doing it just to be dumb. I'm kind of doing it to relax, to unwind.
Yeah.
But I'm just noticing it's just not for me no more. Or I can't say that because I don't want nobody to hold me to it.
Yeah.
I still like it sometimes.
I think it's just when you're young and dumb, it doesn't get old.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But when
Yeah.
you get older and you mature, it gets old quick.
Yeah.
That's why you hear that often.
That's true.
But no, I mean for that same reason, I'm not saying like, oh, go to church and do these things. I'm saying what helped me out and
Live your life, bro.
what helped me
Take
out
the girls from church
and really give them something to experience. No, but it helped out in the sense of like even then it's like there's always that subconscious the teachings you've been taught for so long embedded in you, in the back of your mind. It's like every choice is not just because it's not just random. It's just like, okay, it's for your own good. And had it not been for that, had it not be having those instilled belief systems, it'd probably be a lot worse me doing it now too, even though I'm older and mature. It's kind of like in the sense of where it gives me a good sense of judgment too, based on living my life in a specific way that a lot of people don't attain to.
Yeah.
But it's giving me a good sense of judgment, a good sense of direction that if I'm going this route, then expect this, expect that. I'm not perfect. I do sin, but at the same time I'm knowing the consequences I'm putting myself into as well.
You do have a point though, because I don't know if you've seen. I saw a post going viral maybe a few weeks back. There was this young kid, maybe in his 20s or under 20, maybe.
Yeah.
And I guess he was partying, and he went out, and I don't know if after the night out he smoked with his friends, went home, laid down, never woke up, bro. And it was just like it was. They blamed it on fentanyl. I don't don't even know if they got the toxicology back to see what really got him, but his family was like somebody laced it and stuff like that. And it was just that was really something that I thought goes back to what you're saying. In his younger years, just immature to go out and just trust anything and everything, or to not give a care about what exactly you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Because I would say, at least if I'm older, or speaking for myself, I do know what I'm doing, and I'm like, okay, I'm not gonna drink no more, or I'm gonna cut myself off at this, or my friend, I'm gonna have to cut him off there, or I know that friend's not good. Let's drive, together behind each other. But as a young kid, it just
it set those like internal boundaries that we know that we shouldn't go past this point.
Yeah.
But I mean, no, I'm thankful that I grew up in that sense. Like at first, when you're doing something and you're abstaining from everything that seems to be normal or seems to be okay, in other words, it kind of makes you think like, oh, what would it be like if the grass is really greener on the other side? But
like in terms of what?
In terms of like you just having that temptation there.
Mm-hmm.
And having that, having to go to church, be instructed and whatnot, and being shown a good sense of judgment not only for yourself but for others as well. It's like it really helped out in that sense, to where it's like, this is why it would be that important for you to just at least have that. And if it's something that I would like, I would advocate for, is just like to give it a chance, to give you a better sense of direction when it comes to your judgment, to your better of your life. I'm not saying you have to be hardcore about it, but I would say give it a chance to kind of like open up a different perspective in your mind to say, hey, you know what? Some of this you could take away from, even though you're not too involved into it.
Yeah. Would you say, because this podcast before we were taking notes and it was going to go a different way, but I'm kind of like liking what we're talking about. Would you say, because, okay, so for those that don't know, myself and Ralph the Barber, we did grow up.
Just you, bro.
I didn't have your parents, bro. We did grow up in a very strict, church environment. You know, church as much as you can be there. Wednesday, Sunday night, prayer in between, like there was, and then like youth, and then outings. You know, we were with church all the time,
Yeah.
and I think my thing that I'm having to, I wouldn't say struggle, but having to deal with or confront
Mm-hmm.
is that at that time I was being a certain person because I was kind of being forced to, obviously
Yeah.
by my parents.
Yeah.
You know, and it's not so much that they wanted bad for me, like they weren't doing it because I had to or whatever. They were doing it because that's what they want. They want good upon their kid's life.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I've had these talks with my parents, and I'm like, I think you had the grasp on me a little too tight, and if you would have been a little bit more lenient, I think I wouldn't have such a hard time having to deal with reality in these days now.
Oh yeah.
And not so much hard time,
Definitely.
but you know, so to speak.
Yeah.
And so, but so like for example, in this, you know, going out, having a couple beers, you know, being at the bars. You know, sometimes I'm like, dude, I'm 30 years old. Like, what am I doing here? Sometimes I'm in that. I get conscious of what I'm doing, and I'll just be like drinking, you know, having a beer. You know, my friends are having a good time, and then I'm like an out of a body experience. I'm like, bro, what are you doing?
Yeah.
It's like it just, and it makes me think like I'm 30 years old. I'm here. Like I should be at home, and I get that some of my friends now, when I talk to them, it's like they should have. Like some of them will tell me, like I was saying earlier, they'll say, "Wow, I already did that. Why? I don't want to do that no more. I'm over that."
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, dude, like I want to have fun with you now because I
Yeah.
didn't get to have fun back then,
Yeah.
and I
Yeah.
feel kind of robbed of that experience.
Yeah.
But I'm not saying it's bad because overall, I will always have that trust in God because of my parents, because of my dad, because of my mom. It's like they didn't beat that into me, but so to speak.
Yeah.
He's like, I don't know, bro. Sometimes
I saw a couple bruises here and there.
No, but I think they really instilled that into me,
Yeah.
like hardwired it into my head. So I can thank my parents that I always have that trust in God.
Mm-hmm.
And even though there's been rebellious times in my heart where I feel like I want to reject God or pretend like He doesn't exist,
Mm-hmm.
and then He does something to be like, dude, I was there with you. Like,
Yeah.
bro, you were there. You were there when I was doing miracles. Come on. You saw me turn water into wine. Like, you literally drank the wine. Now you're going to get drunk off it. Nah, but, you know, so, I don't know, man. Like, so what do you think? Like, how does that... Like, I know your experience is a bit different.
Yeah, I mean, given that your parents are like you're a preacher's kid, so it's like for me, so like when it
We're gonna edit that out.
given that your experience was a lot different than mine because my parents weren't too strict about it.
Yeah.
They're more in the sense of like just at least show up
Yeah.
and be there. If like you're gonna want to do your things in a way, like you're gonna do your things, show up to church. But it was more in the sense where that battle was more internally for me. It's just like, man, like I feel that I have to be this way. So like, I'm going to be this way for the sake of, my parents, for the sake of the image of what everybody else would think of me.
Yeah.
Especially when it came to my family. I mean, we come from a very big, family that can be pretty big in faith. So when it comes to that, it's just like, okay, for you to stray from that, man, it was like a constant reminder of what how bad it would look upon you when it came to it. So it's more internally like, man, I probably shouldn't be doing this. I probably shouldn't be thinking of this way or whatever. Because there was times, I mean, like any probably Christian or Catholic or whatever religion you practice, comes a time where you're gonna be internally tested to think that should I really be doing practicing this? This is really something that I stand for. But it's harder for you to grasp the understanding when you're born into it versus growing into it,
or choosing that.
And it's like when you choose for it yourself, then you'd finally understand that it'd be a lot easier when you're going things about the way you would like them to. Mm-hmm. We're gonna make mistakes, and I'm not saying go and choose the world. I'm saying just there's so much more to the world aside from your faith. Put yourself in a different environment for you to grasp what the world is kind of really like, instead of you having to just fight those that are forcing you or putting you in a position to where you're just going to want to rebel.
Yeah, yeah.
And I would say, and it's always stuck to me, and I tell it to people that are, have their faith and whatnot. If that's the case, you want to go and experience the world, you can. But just understand, you knowing of the word, the consequences are a lot much greater as well.
In my experience, in my religious era, I didn't necessarily judge people, but I held myself and others to a standard. Like, got to meet this criteria religiously, biblically. You have to meet it. And it wasn't until that I started failing and falling short, kind of experiencing the world,
Yeah.
is when I started to understand the people that I've judged in the past, people that I've um, passed, I guess same word, passed judgment on, and
Criticize.
yeah, criticize, and I understand now, and it's like I feel like I wouldn't say a better connection with God. Maybe it's using the wrong words, but I would say maybe a deeper connection.
A genuine
A
connection.
genuine connection. Yeah, not deeper, genuine. To where it's like, God, now this is me, man. Like, I've messed up, and now I understand that me messing up and coming to you rather than my parents making me come to you is a lot more genuine, like you said, a lot more transparent, a lot more real, raw, and that is just is making me feel the grace of God.
Yeah, I felt like back then, prior to me experiencing the world, it was like, oh, I have to pray a specific way. I have to think in a specific way. So when I pray, I have to say certain things. And like it had to be like kind of scripted in the sense for it to feel worthy.
It wasn't off like your own experience.
Yeah, but now that it's just like I experienced the world and I'm coming about my faith and whatnot. Now it's just like I get to talk to him versus just being scripted.
I have to pray.
Yeah.
That's I like that.
And it's just like it could be simple as me just driving, home from work, and I'm just like quick 10-15 minute conversation I'm just having, and it's just like, man, I feel like that was a lot more productive. It got me to realize some things a lot more easier than it was back then.
Than having to do an hour service and having to pray. Like I remember that. So yeah, I guess I get what you mean. Like that definitely is, because it's more freeing. Like you said, I like the way you put it. Like you actually get to have a conversation rather than pray to him.
Yeah. Over the years, I could say I've strayed from my practices, but it's never really in the sense of it's gone. It's always going to be there, and that's the one thing that I do like the most about being born into it in a way, is that like once there's no running away from it. So it's always gonna
like a core.
Yeah, it's always gonna be there, and I'm glad for it. I mean, that's probably the consciousness that we should probably have when it comes to like making good and good and bad decisions. But over the years, especially the last past couple of years, and I've said it before, it's just like now more than ever, I feel like a lot more genuine, more in tune with him than I did before.
Yeah.
When it comes to certain worship songs, like I could feel it 10 times more than what I did before.
That makes sense. Yeah. It's almost like maturity, like regular life maturity and spiritual maturity kind of play hand in hand.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if this is the right thing to say, but sometimes you need to fall to understand like how great God is in your life, or can be. Obviously, if you allow Him to.
Yeah.
And I think it's that journey, and this is kind of like what we've talked about like the men these days, and how I feel like men aren't stepping up to the plate in this era. And I wouldn't say because of God, but I would say because a lot of men maybe didn't or haven't gone through enough life trauma or life consequences, like maturity, hardships, because as a man, I believe that's what makes you a man. That's what makes you responsible. Like, for example, there was like a few times where, me and my family either got kicked out of our residence or nearly evicted. And in those moments, I was like, God, like I was so, because it's not me, dude. I can probably survive homeless or go with family, but it's my kids, and it's like life puts you into a corner, or God testing you, or God wanting to build your character puts you into a corner, and it makes you say you have nowhere to run because you can't go that way, you can't go that way, you have to fight. And as a man, men ain't fighting these days, bro. Like they're not
Nah.
fighting for what they want. They're not fighting for their family. They're not fighting for, I mean, let's be honest, their marriage. And I think that's where that maturity needs to happen.
Yeah.
You need to go through being put in the corner. You need to fight. You need to know life's consequences for God to step in and say, okay, here's my grace, here's my mercy, let me lead you the right way, and then have that genuine connection with God, as opposed to like, you know, mijo, you have to go, or you better pray, you know?
I think the biggest pill, or the hardest pill to swallow for a lot of us, is accountability.
Yeah, dude.
And especially if you don't have parents, or you don't have a system, a guidance, if you don't have a system of guidance to direct you in a straight path or in a good path, to hold yourself accountable to those things makes you in a way delusional, to where you think, oh, you know, it's fine to ignore these things and not have repercussions for the decisions that you make. Like for me, instance, being so young and stupid, I have so many speeding tickets, thinking like, it's whatever, they'll go away eventually. Thinking it's like credit, thinking like it's credit. 7 years, they're gonna fall off. You know, it don't matter.
That doesn't stop.
You see, and it's always gonna be there up until you're put in a position to where you're like, you have to,
like,
exactly.
Oh,
and that's
crap, I have to get out of jail today.
And that's where I'm at right now. So it's just like that. It makes you think you're kind of delusional in the sense where it's like, oh, you know, it's fine. I mean, these things will go away eventually. I mean, if I don't pay attention to them, they'll go away.
Yeah.
Not understanding that, like, you might think that'll be that way, but it never really is the case. There's always, with every decision you make, it always comes with a cost, whether it's good or it's bad.
I've also noticed that, you know what, as a man, to be strong, you do need to lean either on other, like a good support system of other masculine energy, of other masculine role models.
Yeah.
Or if not, then that's where a God comes in, and a religion comes in.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like since I've matured, I'm starting to realize that as a man, you do need God in place. You do need, especially as a father, you need like that, again, that masculine direction and guidance. Because if you don't have that, dude, like if you don't have a dad, if you don't have a father, and we've had this podcast before, but it plays a big role in your life. I was seeing something about, it was like a TikTok. Some guy said a notorious child pedo killer, I guess, I don't know. Mm-hmm. They asked him, like, how did you pick out your victims? Obviously, they were little kids. And he said that and they looked at the victims, they were, you know, interracial, many ages, like there wasn't something specific. He just said, one of the main things he said was, I would watch them at the parks and see if they had a father. If they didn't, easy victim. Mm-hmm. And I would see what type of father they had. If they had a father that looked intimidating, a father that was constantly watching his kids, constantly like looking out for them, it was like, I'm not gonna mess with that. Yeah. And so that TikTok that I was watching kind of made it into play to what you need to be, a beast of a man. Mm-hmm. I think you like Jordan Peterson. He says something like, you need to have the ability to be dangerous. Yeah. And it doesn't mean that you have to be all the time, but you have to have that. Otherwise, you're just a weak man. Otherwise, you're just a regular man. Yeah. And I think that's where it comes into where I've been on this journey for already a couple of years of constantly going to the gym, and I really hold myself to it. You know, my kids, they'll see me falling asleep on the couch, and they're like, "Hey, you don't have to go to the gym, Dad. Just go to sleep. Just watch a movie." And in the back of my mind, I'm like, I don't want to be weak. Yeah. You know, not that, you know, me lifting is making me better, but it's just that it puts me at some sort of advantage. Yeah. Over a lot of other average men. Yep. And even at that, you look around, dude, and you see a lot of men these days as well are just, they've let loose, they're a little bit overweight, out of shape. And were we were talking about this at the gym. Yeah. If somebody comes and picks up your kid and starts running to abduct them, You're gonna be out of breath if you're out of shape, man. Like if
Yeah.
you're out of shape, how are you gonna rescue your son? How are you gonna fight off a couple of predators? Yes, doesn't mean that you always have to be. Doesn't mean like a fat and a muscly guy are not gonna try to save their own kid. They're both gonna do that.
Yeah.
But which one's gonna probably have more an advantage to outlast the fight, or to at least get a good shot into these intruders or these child abductors?
Yeah.
And so those type of things, like survival mode, is what makes me think I need to be in the gym. I need to try to practice some sort of martial arts when I can. I need to work not only on lifting weights but cardio and stamina and what they call like I saw like some people say on social media saying it like functional strength, which means like dads out there that work outside in construction like jobs. They may be out of shape, they may be a little bit fat,
Yeah.
but they have some sort of strength that the gym goers probably sometimes don't have.
Yeah.
They can pick up a pound of concrete with one hand, as a gym goer can be like, oh, he can't grab it, you know, he can't hold it for long, he
Yeah.
can't dig all day, but he can lift some good weight, but he can't dig.
Yeah.
And it's like that type of stuff. Like as long as you're staying active in some sort of way, or allowing yourself to just be a man and go through the struggles, you know, whether
Yeah.
that be at work, whether that be physically getting the callus in your hand from digging all day, from being a plumber, from lifting weights.
Yeah.
And I think that's where like it could put you at an advantage to take care of your offspring, to take care of your wife, your girlfriend, the ones that you love. And I feel
Yeah.
like as men, that's where we need to be at.
I grew up with women majority of my life, and
Se nota?
yeah, I mean, I have 4 sisters. I'm a huge mama's boy, and you know, my dad, he was a great dad. He did his best given the circumstances he grew up in when he was younger. So like, I mean, yeah, the affectionate side wasn't there, but when it came time for him to like, if I needed something, he was there. If there was something going on, he was there. If there was like ever a situation that I might have doubted that he might not have like helped me out, he made ways to make sure that he was present.
Yeah.
Of course, there's always gonna be the, oh, I wish I could have had this, I wish I could have had that, and whatnot. But at the same time, what was kind of hard was that I didn't have that, and given that I was in a female dominant environment, it was, I feel like for a long time I hindered myself from actually wanting to partake, just being a man or being a guy, being a
Like
boy.
what?
So it's like if I wanted to talk a specific way and be like guy talk,
Like locker room talk?
I could, yeah, like locker room talk. I couldn't talk that way because I didn't have a brother. I mean, and I didn't have the good relationship with
Yeah.
my dad.
Yeah.
This is where I say it was kind of hard for me to be a man at a really young age, or even just experience to be like a teenager and in that aspect, because I grew up in a female dominant environment. It was hard for me to grow up in that sense to where it's just like holding myself accountable, and not that my dad didn't show me that, but it's just like holding myself accountable, allowing myself to be a man to the full extent without ever having to think what my sisters would think, what my mom would think about me, and just having to be a certain way aside from what they're normally used to seeing me. It would have made it a lot easier if I would have just been that way. So now it's when it comes to my kids, like I double down now. I try to make sure that they get not only the affectionate side that I wish I had, but also the instructive and very disciplined side that I had, and then some when it comes to it. So I mean, it was pretty hard just on both ends, just being in a female dominant environment and having to grow up now to be like, okay, to embrace it.
I think this is the behind the scenes of what a father goes through when disciplining his kids.
Yeah.
When showing love through discipline.
Yeah.
And it shows like maybe some fathers are hard because that's all they know.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they're trying their best from what they lacked.
Yeah.
And that awkward silence isn't even a thing where like he's mad at you. It's the thing where he's like, man, I really wish I didn't have to spank him.
Yeah.
It's
you
like,
all right? Flashbacks. PTSD.
Flashbacks. It's like I really wish I didn't have to I didn't need to go that far, like you were saying.
Yeah.
And it's just like, because I've been there. I've disciplined my kids in certain instances where I'm like, okay, maybe I went too far.
Yeah.
Maybe I didn't need to do that. Maybe I didn't need to yell. Maybe I didn't, you just start questioning how you went about the scene and what could have been better.
Yeah.
Now it just got me to wonder, like, I wonder if my dad and your dad and dads out there are just like doing the same thing. Like, oh man, I want to turn around and say I'm sorry. I want to turn around and give my kids a hug.
Yeah.
I want to tell you sorry.
Yeah.
But the man in me is not going to allow that.
Yeah.
And I think that man part is necessary.
Yeah.
It's necessary to say I'm not going to say sorry.
Yeah.
It hurts what I did. It hurts that I hurt you that way. But I'm not going to say sorry because it's necessary that I correct this now. Otherwise, in the future, somebody else is going to correct it.
Yeah.
It's not going to be me. It's going to be the prison system. It's going to be, you're going to be clicked in to a gang, and they're going to correct you the hard way.
Yeah.
You're going to be corrected by having to pay child support by picking the wrong big mom.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you're going to get you're going to get corrected in some sort of sense in life. And the man is always getting corrected.
Yeah.
And I don't think women do that. I feel like they live life on easy mode sometimes. Bro.
Yeah, don't get me started, bro. No, so back to what you were saying, you're like, you want to apologize. And in a way, and we talked about it before, it's kind of hard for me in my aspect. In general, co-parenting lifestyle is not easy. And in my situation, I kind of have to play the both parts. Is it okay? Maybe I would say yes. And in the way of saying, in the times that I said, like, hey, you got to do this. There's a balance to it. So whenever I'm instructing them, telling them you have to do these things, they're crying. Too bad, you got to do it. No, you're not going to go anywhere. No, you're not going to play. You're going to stay here and you're going to sit down up until you get up. Of course, you feel like crap afterwards, and then you're questioning yourself. And this is where I would say, yeah, it is okay to apologize. But give him the reason why you got upset with him. Explain to him why these things are necessary. Educate him. I don't have mom to be like, mijo, it's okay. It's all right.
To tend to the wound.
Exactly. To attend to the softness that he needs from a mother. I mean, in a lot of aspects, you don't need it from the dad. It's probably not necessary in some aspects for you to get it from a dad.
Yeah, exactly.
So when it comes to, like, I guess, dads that are co-parenting in that specific situation, like, you kind of have to play both roles. And, probably for women, it's probably the same situation, vice versa. But in that situation, you kind of have to learn as well. And probably this is where I say I think it benefited me and the feminine aspect, to where I was able to have the affectionate side with him and talk to him, but yet in a manly and masculine way to say, hey, you know what, I'm sorry, this has to happen this way. But you got to understand, these things need to happen. Yeah. So, I mean, it's tough.
For women, single mothers, it could be hard. Just as hard, because as a father, you need that, the motherly affectionate side. And then on their end, I was thinking about this the other day. And, everybody knows a bitter baby mama. Everybody knows the baby mama that rants about her baby daddy or rants about things like that. But I started to think, especially the ones that literally don't have the father there, that they walked out, they're in prison, whatever. And I started to think, like, I kind of understand now. And it was just in that thought moment that I was understanding. I can see why they end up being masculine. I can see why they end up having a resentment, being masculine, like having these standards, because as a man, when you're faced with trial by fire, it builds that character, it builds that resilience, it builds what a man needs to be. Yeah. But when a woman goes through that, or a single mom, or a mother,
you put them in that masculine environment.
Exactly. And I never used to believe in that. I used to be like, why are women masculine? But I understand now, or better now, because it's true. Like, these women are having to pay their bills. They're having to pay their bills and come home and cook and take the kids to sports and teach them how to be a man if they're raising boys, if they're raising girls, whatever. Yeah, they have to be both parents, and man, that's hard, especially as a woman that's not biologically or naturally meant to take that role up on her own.
Yeah.
I think maybe it's easier for a dad to do that because, men were so, or the way men should be is, real macho, real, I got this, and it's a plus side if you can be affectionate.
Yeah.
But as you said, maybe we don't really need that
Yeah.
to get a kid through life.
Yeah.
But in a mom's side, it's like they're not meant to be that.
Mm-hmm.
Moms meant to be naturally are
Catered to,
affectionate and
yeah.
caterers, and
Yeah.
So I get that, and I think that's a good subject for the next podcast. But anything you want to say to the viewers before we go?
Yeah, so if you're in town, you're single, nah.
281-330.
Hey, dude, no, yeah. So I changed my my social credentials from the last time. My Instagram and my TikTok are now with the handle of the Ralph Angelo channel. That's Ralph with a PH, Angelo Angelo channel. And same thing with the YouTube channel. I've strayed from it. I've peeled back from it just because there is a point in time where I had 2 jobs. I mean, I was being a little bit lazy, and then I had gotten 2 jobs. So I was working overnight and then working during the day, and I was doing that for like about 5 months. And I recently just finally got laid off from that job, so I have a lot more time on my hands. So it was really tough trying to fit that in, and given that I've broken the pattern, I have to redo the pattern again. You probably see me trying to push more content, but it's probably going to take me a lot more time because I'm kind of being more patient with it. So if you could find me anywhere, it would be on TikTok, YouTube, and Instagram, the Ralph Angelo channel. So go ahead and tune in on that. You'll see something drop soon, maybe something soon, very soon, but it'll start picking up again.
All right, guys. Well, this is the end of the podcast. I do apologize for being absent for a little bit there. I think any person who puts out content, whether that be on TikTok, YouTube, Facebook, whatever, you get sometimes into these creative blocks, or you get life. You get your plate gets full, and it's really hard to handle kids and family and job, and then having to put entertainment out. I want to try to have some more content coming up for Life with Coffee podcast, and maybe some other projects in the future. Just like, subscribe, and comment if you disagree, or maybe if you agree, or just whatever it is. I want to hear you. So comment there on the YouTube video, and if you're on Facebook, give me a comment, give me a like, and follow. But again, thanks guys for tuning in. Life with Coffee podcast. Till next time, peace out.